So I'm Allie. I'm a woman who's worked in the environmental field pretty much all my adult life, and have over the last few months and really the last year or two just gotten to a point where I've been just overwhelmed and disgusted by the corporate influence in Congress as a whole, but really in this district as well. And
who's your current representative?
Our current representative is Jerry Connolly.
I know Jerry.
Yeah, long-term corporate Dem. He takes the 9th most money from the military-industrial complex of anyone in Congress. 90% of his funds are coming from mega donors and corporate PACs, and we're grassroots. We're not taking any corporate money. We're just
he kind of reminds us of somebody we know.
It's all the income. They're just
he's got a lot of similarities to Wasserman Schultz in terms of the scope of the corporate interest money as well as the amount of money they take from the defense industry.
So you felt inspired to go against that?
A little bit. I've not really inspired. So my son was the one who was pushing me into it, right? Because I'm just my job was eliminated by an appointee from the Trump administration, just deciding that natural resources weren't that important. Although as it happened, my position was re-advertised 6 months later at a lower level. So it wasn't a GS-15 level, it was a GS-14 level, which meant that it had to comply with whoever they had there. So a lot of the changes that I was trying to implement had been super supportive right up until the new appointee came in, at which point the entire priority system changed. So, and that was really frustrating because I really felt my job was to represent the biologist on the ground, right?
Well, say what your job was. What was that?
Right. Sorry. So my job was managing the Department of Defense's Natural Resources Program, which is it's a fairly large program. DOD's got 25 million acres of land, and a lot of it you can't access. So they actually have the highest density of threatened and endangered species per acre from any other land managing agency. Right there in Florida, you've got Eglin and Avon Park and whatnot, and they've got incredible, Eglin has this amazing sea turtle program, right? And just the biologists on military lands are amazing. Of course, the environment doesn't get the budget. During my tenure, the budget was cut 75% in our discretionary fund. But that's because we weren't building weapons. So, but I managed the program, was trying to make a lot of things happen. That ended up not being popular. My job was eliminated. I started my own business. That was going really great up until COVID hit. Then it didn't go so well. Ended up doing a lot of reading and educating. There was a lot going on with the Black Lives Movement, a lot of economic disparities, COVID really just exploding and exacerbating everything. And we were watching Knock Down the House. And I was like, oh my God, these are regular women. These are just people. And my son looks at me, he's like, you need to run for Congress. And I'm like, ha, right. Yeah. So that started this sort of back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And in the end, the final straw that really tipped the scales to being like, I've got to do this, was Connolly holding up the HEROES Act, because remember, that was the first relief bill that went out and ended up, 75% ended up going to corporations and special interests. But we didn't know that at the time. This money was supposed to go out. People were waiting in food lines. People had lost their jobs. People, we were on full lockdown mode. And Connolly holds up the bill for 48 hours so that he can add a $3 billion rider for military contractors. That money ended up going to corporate headquarter rent, executive bonuses, some other things. It was like, oh my God, you've got to be freaking kidding me, right? So that was really harsh. We ended up reaching out to a woman who primaried him in 2020, Zainab Mohseni. She, I don't know if you know her.
No, wait, what's her name?
Zainab Mohseni.
No, we don't.
No.
So how'd she do?
She's 28. She was in her 20s, just her and a handful of volunteers. They only raised $28,000. We didn't even know about her till we went and stood in line and we were waiting to vote. She still got almost 25% of the vote.
Wow.
People are ready for a change. So we reached out.
Wow.
Are you running again? We want to support you. And she was like, I'm not running again. Connolly is not nice, and I'm not going through that. And I've got too much on my plate. She has a lot of things going on personally. And so that's when Kyle looked at me and he was like, you got to do this. And so I was like, yeah, you know what? I do have to do this. And the more I've learned about how Connolly runs his district and runs his campaign and who he cares about and who he represents, the more we've realized that, yeah, it's not most of the district. You know, he represents this tiny sliver of people who are fairly affluent, who have strong corporate ties and corporate interests, and then everyone else is kind of getting ignored. And he keeps saying the right things, right? Like he was tweeting today about, oh, Amazon is so horrible. They've come in, they're doing this. That man took $10,000 from Amazon just last year. I mean, it's like, you know, he talks about we need green energy. We've got to do this, but he takes huge amounts of money from Dominion Energy, which is this horrible mess here in Virginia. And he's never signed the Virginia Green New Deal Act, which actually implements Green New Deal activities, right? Brings the jobs, tries to get clean transportation.
Yeah.
So it's just too much hypocrisy. And I just felt compelled. And that's probably a little more than you wanted, but.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.